We have in the studio today music executive, businessman, lecturer, author, manager of Destiny's Child, CEO of Music World Entertainment Corporation, and father of Grammy Award-winning singers Beyonce and Solange. He has led some of the most successful marketing campaigns in history and is a global leader in marketing, brand development, entrepreneurship, and leadership. Have you on? It's
Well, thank you, Dana.
much
Thank you.
appreciated.
Thank you.
I want to read something I came across, and it said, Mathew Knowles is widely regarded as the best in the world at what he does and is a sought-after speaker, consultant, and trainer for some of the world's largest organizations and conferences. Knowles' professional insights and expert digital content have been recognized by LinkedIn. You named the LinkedIn Top Voice, which is a distinction reserved for like
Richard Branson.
Yeah, Richard Branson, Adriana Huffington, Bill Gates.
Yeah.
But whether he's developing some of the biggest brands in history, inspiring global audiences, or helping businesses and entrepreneurs achieve their goals, Knowles' unmatched talent and experience make him a true business in the industry. You are a music executive, businessman, entrepreneur, motivational speaker, lecturer, professor, author, managers of Destiny's Child, Grammy singers Beyonce and Solange. You are a man of many hats. Am I missing anything? Or
Well, I tell you what you're missing. Literally, before I got on this Zoom call, Dana, my wife and I, we were going through my travel because I have to be in San Francisco. Then I was going to go to Houston, and I was going to come back to Orange County. Then I was going to go to LA and teach, and then I was going to go from there to London, and then I was going to go from London to New York, and then New York. She says, "Honey, you're doing too much." So the question is, no, we don't want to add anything else.
Add all that to the plate. I mean, I was doing my research, and I'm like, I know definitely. I'm going to tell you right now, I'm definitely going to have you on because there was so much material I wanted to talk to you. And I'm like, if I get stuck on one subject, I'm not going to be able to ask, all the great things you've been doing. So I'm gonna tell you right now, I'm gonna have you on at some point, later on, maybe in the year or something, because
I would love to. I
yeah,
would love to.
you got a lot. Like I said, there's so much I want to talk to you about. I want to start from the beginning, and please correct me because my pronunciation sometimes goes way south here. But you were born in Gadsden, Alabama.
Gaston, Alabama.
Alabama. You were a graduate of Fisk University in Nashville, Tennessee, where you earned your bachelor's arts degree in economics and a bachelor's science in business. Can you take me back to those early years?
Yeah, I love to.
Yeah.
And it really starts with my parents because my mother lived in Marion, Alabama, which is about 12, 15 miles from Selma, Alabama.
Wow.
And my mother went to high school with Coretta King.
Oh, wow.
And so she took up the torch of desegregation and integration. And so when my mother moved to Gaston, married my dad, and then when I was born, both of my parents were entrepreneurs. My grandfather and grandmother were entrepreneurs on both my mom and dad's side. So I'm third generation entrepreneur. Although they had day jobs, unlike my grandparents, they didn't have day jobs, but my mom and dad had day jobs, but they took the assets that they had. For example, my mom was a colored maid, and she made $3 a day. But she convinced that white woman to give her all the hand-me-downs, and she convinced her to ask all her friends for hand-me-downs. And my mother and two of her best friends would make these beautiful quilts on the weekend that they would sell for $100. And the same with my dad. He was a truck driver, but he convinced the company he was driving the trucks for to let him keep the truck all the time. And he would then tear down all the houses and sell the metals and buy used cars, and sell all the parts. So I learned that entrepreneurial spirit from my parents. And more so, my mother always said that son, there's nothing you can't do
Mhm.
if you put your mind to it. That's how old people would talk. If you put your mind to it, there's
I'm right.
nothing you can't do. And I believe that. I
Yeah.
believe that. And I would dream. I always wanted to be a businessman, even 7, 6, 7, 8 years old. I didn't quite understand what it meant, but there was this one guy in our neighborhood who was the minister, and every time you see him, he had a suit tie on, and I want to be like that one day. You know? So that's how I really started in gassing. And the other unique thing about growing up, we're talking 1952, so I'm in elementary school 1958, and I graduated from high school 1970. I never went to a black school,
Oh, wow, okay.
and I'm 72 years old. So George Wallace was our governor. So I've been
Mhm.
spit on, I've been beaten, I've been electric prodded, you name it.
Mm.
I've done that. And so I have a very different background than most because I went to school with white kids.
Yeah. Yeah. I was on your website, and you have a quote where you say, beginning their lives walking down a dirt road in Alabama to walking down a red carpet, Grammys, while defying the odds of segregation. When you look back at where you've come to where you are today, I mean, do you ever like just sit back and you're like, take it all in, or like I mean, I'm sure you knew that you would get there, but it's
Yeah, it's a good question, Diane. I just sometimes, like right now, I'm looking out the window, I have windows here, and I just have a sense of gratitude.
Mhm.
Uh, just a sense of gratitude when I think about why me. It could have been somebody else.
Yeah,
Just a strong sense of gratitude is what I have. Almost daily, I kind of look out the window and I still dream, but I'm much calmer, and I was fortunate to marry this amazing woman,
yeah.
Gina. Um, and so life is good for us.
Yeah, yeah, no, I mean like I said, I was doing my research before I, to speak to you, and I was like I said earlier, there's just so much I really want to talk to you about. You're like such an inspiration, and I got that from, just, and I'm going to talk a little bit about that, in a little bit, but it was like everything I was getting when I was, preparing for this interview was just how much of inspiration. And then it's just like you take it from your beginning, from the seed that was
Yeah,
planted, into where you are, and you're doing amazing things. But I'm going to kind of jump around that. I'm going to come back.
sure.
I'm going to jump around, but you're a sought out speaker and consultant, of some of the world's largest companies. What are some of the things you talk about, when you go to like these organizations and companies?
Yeah, I have four really basic topics that I talk about. One is entrepreneurship,
Mhm.
obviously, uh, being an entrepreneur in third generation, watching my kids now, fourth generation. Um, I talk a lot about entrepreneurship, a lot of seminars, speaking. I also talk about, I've written 5 books.
Yeah, yeah.
In my first book, The DNA of Achievers,
Mhm.
10 Traits of Highly Successful Professionals. And I was traveling like I am today, and I was on the plane, and back in the day, you ask a person, what do you do? And they would probably talk through the whole flight if they were passionate about what they were doing.
Yeah.
And I learned a lot from, like, so these people are saying the same thing: passion, work ethics, planning, all the same things. And so it hit and dawned on me, well, I do the same things and my friends do the same thing. And that's what inspired me to write that book. So I talk a lot about the DNA of achiever, and I talk a lot about passion and finding your passion, and that it all starts there for me.
Mhm.
Uh, I used to have artists come to me wanting to get a record deal or me to manage them. And the natural thing, they want to perform.
Yeah.
And I never wanted that. I just wanted to sit on a sofa and talk to them, Dana, because I wanted to understand, where their head and heart
Mhm.
was, and to see if they were passionate about, were they energized, excited? Because if you don't have that passion,
Yeah.
then you're not going to have the work ethics.
Yeah.
Because what coexists with passion are work ethics.
Mhm.
And that's why you see successful people, like I just told you, all these places that we'll be traveling. Well, to a lot of people, it'd be like, wow. But to me, I still get excited.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
still get
Big
excited. So
time.
I talk about the DNA of achievers, entrepreneurship. I'm a cancer survivor, male
Mhm.
breast cancer survivor. I'm going on, I'll be 5 years in July. Uh, and I talk about that in genetics and genetic testing and the
Yeah.
importance of early, um, test, because most people don't know, Dana, I did 20 years of corporate America.
Yeah. That's
And I was in a medical division of Xerox where I sold mammography equipment.
yeah. So
We were
you
the leading modality for breast cancer
yeah.
detection,
Yeah.
zero radiography. So I talk a lot about, health and wellness and the
Yeah.
importance of early detection.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and then I talk about racism,
Yeah.
diversity, equity, and inclusion.
Yeah.
Those are some of the things that I talk about.
Yeah, those are, those things you just touched on. I did have some questions coming up on that. But I wanted to say, I was watching the TEDx motivational, inspirational speaking event you gave. I think it was about 3 years ago, and you said a quote, and you just said it as you were speaking. My passion is to motivate and educate. And then you said in 3 areas: music business, entrepreneurship, health, and wellness. You kind of touched on, because I was going to ask, you know, can you touch on, some of those things, especially the educating in the area of music and business? Um, and then you also said, when you live that passion, you never work a day in your life. And you
Yeah.
actually, it's just, you were just saying exactly what my, you're ahead of
I,
me,
Dana, I
slow
tell my
down.
truth. I tell my truth, and it matches, and it should match.
Yeah.
So, when you're telling your truth, it matches.
Yeah, yeah. Like I said, I've been doing my research, and that's your theme. It's just like, that's over and over in everything I've seen. That's what you do. It's over and over. And
Yeah.
some people kind of divert from it. Some people, like yourself, it's like boom, straightforward. This is, you
And
know,
if I'm not passionate about it, Dana, I just don't engage. I
yeah,
don't want to engage in something that I'm not passionate about.
yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah. Yeah, I mean, I can truly tell, that the passion about the educating and inspiring, for people to succeed, as you have.
yeah, I teach a class. I teach at Pepperdine this semester.
Oh, nice, nice.
Uh, and I also teach at the London College of Contemporary Music.
See, wait, I gotta stop you. I gotta cut you off. See, I think you read my notes here.
No,
No, that's the second question. That was the next thing I was
you,
gonna
you,
ask you.
you know why, Dana? Because you are doing a great job of us just having a conversation,
I love it. I love it.
and
I love it.
versus an interview. So
Yeah, no,
I
that's
think
what it
that's why
is.
that's why it's happening, because we're just having a
Just having a
conversation.
conversation. But I swear, I think I am not joking, because here's my next question. What you were just talking about, I did not know about the Pepperdine, though. I did not know. But I was going to ask you, my next question is, you are a professor at Texas Southern University, where you teach entertainment industry in the School of Communications. With so many,
Not anymore.
okay, okay.
I did 9 years years ago, almost 12, 15 years ago.
Oh, wow.
But I taught at Texas Southern. I taught 3 years at
Prairie View,
Prairie View.
yeah.
I've lectured, Cornell, Harvard. I've lectured all over the U.S.
And the London College of Creative Media. You were visiting for,
This music, actually,
yeah, yeah,
contemporary creative music. Yeah.
Yeah. See, I tell you, you're ahead of me on that. Do you know my next question before I before I ask you? I just want to stop right now.
No, I don't. I don't.
You want to interview me?
I don't know that's, but looking forward to it. Though.
Okay, well, it's a good one. It's a good one. No, it was the podcast interview on your Mathew Knowles impact with Questlove, and I wanted this. This was an awesome interview, and from the jumps from the beginning. One of the things you said is how proud of Solange and how she got out of the lane, I guess the shadow of her sister Beyonce.
Right.
And Quest said that he had Solange on his podcast, and she painted you in the light that the world doesn't know about your civil rights movement, things you do, how they talk for about 25 minutes of your story alone, and as a father, I mean, that must
Yeah, it touched my heart because
hard.
I really surprised me because
Yeah.
I had never have heard of Solange doing that before. So it really did touch my heart.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah,
that she felt that way about
it was definitely, and I have the something else on that, the Questlove. He said you were asked by the New York Times, you asked the art of the dinner party, and who you would invite. Questlove's answer, who he would invite, was Dave Chappelle, Chef Gordon, Jimmy Jam. He had a few others, and then he said, you.
Yeah, he was asked by the New York Times.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Who would he want to have dinner with? And they got back to me. I was really shocked and surprised.
Yeah.
And I was like, why would you want to have dinner with me?
Because it's the influence. It's the influence and the respect in the industry, your success. I mean, that's who you want at a dinner party. I mean, that's who you want conversation.
Yeah.
You want to be talking, and for him to say that. If I don't hold dinner parties, let me tell you, but if you get an invite, that's the reason. It's because you want to engage in that,
exactly.
Get in that thing.
Questlove is an amazing man.
Yeah.
Just absolutely amazing.
Yeah. I've listened to a few of his podcasts, and he's like right over the bridge here in Philly from where I'm at right now. So,
yeah.
That's a good thing. I'm gonna jump ahead a little bit, and I know I'm leaving a lot out in between. Like I said, there's a lot that with such a short time. But I wanted to talk.
Well, we can expand the time if we need more time.
Yeah, no, we're gonna be good. We're gonna get all this.
Okay.
Should I have shown you all my notes, or should I have made you think, oh, it's all she's no, but no, I wanted to jump ahead a little bit because, like I said, it's a short time. But I wanted to talk what I'm sure a lot of people ask you. How did Destiny's Child start? Tell me like the beginning, but also were there other groups? I mean, because you've done a lot between up to that point, like you said, with the corporate world. Were there other managed groups you managed? How did that part of the
well, Destiny's Child was the defining moment in my career, because at that point I had gone on to be the first Black to sell MRI CT scanners in America, and then I left Philips and went to Johnson & Johnson as a neurosurgical specialist. And the neurosurgeon paged me to tell me he could come to this office to tell me, because of managed care, and now we understand managed care and how cost becomes an issue, that he couldn't use my instruments anymore. And that's when I had to make a defining moment. It was a defining moment for me, because I knew I couldn't do that anymore. Because now I'm selling costs and not quality, and I couldn't do that. And I had to really, and I always tell people, I didn't quit my job that day. Because a lot of people might be like, yeah, I don't like what I'm doing, I'm gonna quit. No, I transitioned. So I began this transition and looking at and identifying my passion. And there was this young rapper in Houston named Lil O. He's still in Houston, and I got him signed. The first record deal I ever got for an artist was Lil O, not Destiny's Child. at MCA Records, which was the #1 Black record label. Puffy and Mary
Yeah.
J.
Yeah.
and Jodeci and all. I mean, it was an honor to be signed there. And that was the first artist that I got signed. And on his if Can't Stop is his single. If you go to YouTube, you'll see it features this
Okay.
group Destiny. They
Okay.
were
I'll check it
named
out.
Destiny's Child there. But how I got it, and so I transitioned. I went back to school because I believe knowledge is power. I
Yes.
took,
Yeah.
artist management, production, all types of music courses, business courses, and then I, went to every seminar I could and began to build relationships.
Mhm.
The girls were at with another management group, and they went to Star Search
Oh, wow.
and they lost on Star Search. And I shared with the management team then, I don't think this is the right song because Star Search has these old white guys that's judging, and they never heard a song with rap in it.
Yeah.
And so this song they had one of the little girls, one of the young girls, rap on the song. And I was like, yeah, this beautiful ballad.
Yeah.
Play that first,
Yeah.
And Donnie Simpson is going to be on next week,
Oh,
and he'll
wow.
understand
Yeah.
the song with the rap in it. But they didn't listen to me, and they lost. But then that's when I asked Ed McMahon, like, these kids are crying their hearts out. I'm just a dad. Dana, went down to Orlando to just help out because they thought they were going to be there for a month. So they had all this wardrobe. They had a separate room just for the wardrobe. So I just helped out with the bags. I wasn't there in management capacity. I was just there as a dad. And that's when he told me, he said, people that come on this show and lose, they go back and they make changes in their organization. They recommit, they refocus. And he used examples, Boys the Man, Justin Timberlake, Britney Spears, all those people lost on Star Search. So that's what we did. We
Yeah.
came back and we realized, and I realized that we had to make changes. The previous management was trying to get a record deal
Yeah.
that included the dancers.
Oh.
Yeah,
Okay.
that looked you just gave.
You see?
Yeah, that one. And so that's how I got involved with one of the managers that was currently managing them at that time, and we made changes and we brought on new people, and that's how I got started. And then,
Okay.
unfortunately, my business partner, passed away
Oh, sorry.
before this all jumped off, and so I took on being the sole manager at that point.
Yeah, I was going to say, and I'm glad, that as the answer to that question, you didn't lead into my next question, because I was going to say, you know what, we're done. Okay, over. I can't do this, But no, I was going to say, with the great success of both Beyonce and Solange, what's it like as a father to see, what they both accomplished as global superstars? What did you instill in them? I saw an article where you said, one thing I taught Beyonce and Solange was to practice failure. We would practice how they'd respond if the microphone was cut off, if their shoes were broke on stage, if the wrong song got cued in their performance. Anything can happen. And you touched a little bit about, in that, but I guess, what do you instill, like, in your other, I know, you have a vast, we'll try to say here, of people. What do you, is this something that is like, hey, this is the first things, you're not going to get up on stage, you're not going to do whatever, and the
Yeah,
Grammy people will be knocking on your door holding the little thing with the
that little thing up
yeah, I
there
see it up behind you right there. They're
on
not
that
going to be
side.
holding that and saying, hey, here you go,
Right.
you're gonna
Yeah.
plug it out. But
Again, it goes back to we took a lot of things we learned in corporate America, especially at Xerox, and it's about practice. And the great ones in any sport or area of life, they actually put in a ton of practice and work. to become better. And so you have to practice failure because it's going to happen.
Yeah.
And so you need to be prepared. So we would do the things you say. We would work on all of those things. And when they happen, and they did happen, uh, even at Coachella, most people don't even realize that Beyonce and Solange actually fell, but they made it fun
Yeah.
that most people didn't even notice it.
Yeah. 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 It's funny you said on that, but not really. And as I was doing my research for the thing, and I trying to bring the memory back, but there was an interview where somebody asked you, I guess you were like kind of front center of the stage or something, and you noticed like something was wrong with the light or something
It
like.
was quest.
Okay, so see, I've been all over the
Yeah.
place with this. I don't know what I've researched at this point,
Yeah.
But that was the thing, the detail. Like it's like what is it? The show must go on, and it was something you were very detailed
Yeah,
on.
and I still am. I'm still very detailed because there's a lot of moving parts in when there's a performance. A lot of moving parts that most people don't realize at all. A lot of things can go wrong. I'm just always I can't believe when I would go to Beyonce's show with that major production, how flawlessly night after night after night. Uh,
Yeah, you
and,
can
and
imagine.
and some things happen, but
Yeah.
they were prepared for it.
Yeah.
And so,
Uh,
but it takes a lot of work, and it takes building the right team. Most of the people that my assistant, who you probably interface with, Lynn,
yeah.
has been with me 23 years.
Wow,
My attorney's been with me 12.
that's good to have people
I
that
don't,
close.
yeah,
Yeah, trust.
yeah,
Trust,
and the same with Beyonce and Solange. The
yeah.
people, uh, a large number of Beyonce's people I hire.
Yeah. Wow, so that goes way back,
Yeah,
and that's important. That's
yes,
important. I'm not one for. You will never see me with a parade of people behind me. I mean,
yeah,
I have a certain group, and it's because of the trust. Because people you're like, okay,
yeah,
you're here for, this, not for me, and not for the, you want to be on the bus, well, you can't.
yeah,
Because
yeah.
so it's and especially with all you do, it's very, very important to have.
But you had asked me about Beyonce and Solange. The one thing that I'm most proud of is not their accomplishments.
Mhm.
And I'm very proud of it. I'm not the most, that's not the number one thing I'm proud of them for, is that they are just genuinely good people.
Yeah.
That's what I'm really proud of.
Yeah. Oh.
Because in this crazy world of entertainment, as you know, some people fall off the rails as they become more and more successful.
Yeah. 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 That says a
And
lot about what I mean, it comes from you. I mean, that's where it starts, and that's
yeah, you're right.
you
And
brought.
I got mine from my parents.
Yeah.
My dad was a volunteer fireman, black volunteer fireman. He never got paid, um, and they would, like Christmas time, pass the hat around, $30, $40,
Mhm.
but he wanted to give back to the community, and that's what I've done, uh, and that's what my Beyonce and Solange, they give back to their community.
Yeah, yeah, it's very important. It's very important. That's one thing about my podcast, and I thank you for saying that early. It feels like we're just having a conversation because, I'd like to talk to people. Not like I don't want a group of people to talk to,
Right.
but when I started this, it's basically, part of the of people that I like to, people making a difference, because I think it's important, especially now,
Yes,
that's going on,
especially now,
you know,
especially now.
push now. I kind of want to ask you a question on, like I said, I'm all over the place with this interview, so I apologize because I was like, I want to ask this, want to ask this, want to ask, but I want to ask you, you're the founder of Music World Entertainment.
Hmm.
Can you tell me
30, gosh, 34 years, I've lost track.
how did that come, how did that come into
Well, uh, I had to name the company when I signed the rapper Lil O,
Yeah.
because that was the first artist for me. And I'm about branding.
Mhm.
And for me, because I had worked in corporate America, I knew the world was bigger than America.
Yeah. Yeah.
And a lot of artists and their team focus so much on America and forget that there's 7 billion people out there. And so I wanted to name the company something that represented that we were going to be international with our approach and worldwide with our approach. So that's how I came up. I just come up with these catchphrases. I don't know where from, but that's when I just said music world
Yeah.
because we're going to be not just in America.
Right. Right. But if I mean, perfect name for the brand. I mean,
And I wanted to be entertainment because when I got into the music industry, everybody in the record business, that's what they were in, the record business.
mhm.
And I was in branding and endorsement and building a brand that included music.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
I mean,
they didn't quite understand that in the
yeah.
beginning.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean that's what I was like, it's such, I was trying to see how I wanted to go into that question because there's like so much. I mean, it's like you said, entertain. It's the worldwide. Music.
Yeah.
It
And,
encompasses.
and then I realized, Dana, quickly that, a marketing budget for a Destiny's Child, let's just say let's just use Beyonce as an example, could be $1 million to $2 million, the marketing budget from a record label.
Yeah.
Um, but if you partner with L'Oreal, for example, and then you get to put your song in a commercial, and then the artist gets to be in a commercial, and then they spend 25 to 30 million in marketing,
Right.
and their base is 50, 100 times larger. So now instead of you touching and talking to 3 million people, you're now talking to 30 million.
Right.
And
Right.
I understood that partnership and the importance of going out and doing, gosh, I was counting the other day, it did like 22 major partnerships with brands like, L'Oreal and McDonald's and uh, Pepsi, Pepsi Cola,
Yeah.
um, American Express. I can go on and on.
Yeah. That's amazing. It's like, I can't even fathom that. I couldn't, to connect the dots on just like what you said on, okay, you got this, and then you add this, and then boom, 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 and then it's like, you kind of cut everything out. I want to ask you, because it's kind of, you've written several books, and hopefully, I can name a few, and please, let me, I know you're going to let me know if I miss something, so I ain't gonna worry about that. But the DNA Achievers, Destiny's Child, The Untold Story, Racism Through the Eyes of a Child, The Emancipation of Slaves Through Music, um, Public Relations and Media book. But each book is different. And can
Mhm.
you speak just a little bit about each one? And I mean, you're adding to, like I said, you're like, when I named at the beginning, author, writer, but the writing part and, where can we buy them? But especially, I want to know about the book Racism from the Eyes of a Child, which, okay, and the Quilts motion picture script. I was seeing
Mhm.
something about the emancipation.
Yep.
So, yeah,
Yep.
yeah,
We're having conversations about that. Yeah.
okay, yeah.
So what was the question?
Well, I don't know what the question was now. No, no. Basically,
Well, I could talk about those, why I became an author for a different reason than most authors.
okay,
Uh, I didn't necessarily become an author to sell books to the general public.
yeah,
It's important that I do that, and I'm always with gratitude that people buy my books. But I really wrote books to create IP,
okay,
intellectual property, so that I can then go into film and TV and own that
oh,
intellectual property.
wow, okay,
So when you look at Destiny's Child Untold Story, because I own that intellectual property, I can do a musical based on it, or I can do a play based on it. So I understood the importance of IP and
Mhm.
building IP.
Okay. But and that's, actually that leads into this question because I was looking at an article of Variety and I guess you're doing a memoir or a series, something coming up.
Well,
Right.
we're the Mathew Knowles story.
Right, the Mathew Knowles story. Yeah, yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. That's pretty cool. That's
Yes.
pretty cool. I mean, that's going to be awesome. I mean, I'm going to keep an eye on that. I'm kind of winding down on the interview here, but I know like a little bit you talked about, you're a cancer survivor. I believe in 2019, with male breast cancer. And you said, talk about it, speak up, speak out, sooner, faster, quicker about it. That's what strength is. Weakness is when you want to keep it a secret. How important is it, and especially being in your position, and you have like a big platform, to get the message out about breast cancer because, many men don't realize that they can get it.
Yeah, about 25,000 men a year get it. So it's not this small number, and that's what just America. I don't really know the worldwide numbers on it.
Yeah.
Um, and for me, fortunately, because I used to sell the equipment, I readily knew when I had this discharge exactly what it was,
Yeah.
and was fortunate to catch it again, stage 1A, because it's a real simple thing. You catch it early,
Hmm.
cancer or any type of disease, you find and catch it early, the outcome is going to be tremendously better
Yeah.
than if you catch it in the like
Late.
stage 4,
Yeah.
because these things are stages 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah.
Um, and I understood the importance of that. So I'm always getting exams. I
Nice.
mean, I don't want to find out when it's too late. I want to find out
Right.
at the very beginning
Yeah.
and make the necessary changes and do the things I need to do to impact. So
Yeah.
I've always been someone that was, even before myself, when I was working, starting back in 1980,
Mhm.
and understanding the medical industry, I was always talking to women because we had a hair salon.
Yeah.
And so it was a platform to really talk to women about early detection.
Yeah.
We even had pamphlets about getting mammogram.
Yeah, no, I think it's very important, and it's again, like I just said, especially, you have such a big platform and resources, and many men don't realize, that, it's not just the women get breast cancer, men can get it also. And I think what you're doing and your voice, makes it, it's like, oh, okay, well, if he's talking about it, then maybe I should start thinking about it, so
And getting genetic testing, because the medical industry is moving, shifting uh, to more genetic testing.
yeah,
And the reason it had to go to the Supreme Court 2 times because who created genetic testing, the price was prohibitive. And so it took the Supreme Court to allow the price to
mhm,
be affordable now.
yeah,
But that was some 10,
years,
15 years ago.
right.
So genetic testing is now becoming a thing where it doesn't say you're gonna get it.
Mhm.
It just says that you have a higher propensity to get
Yeah.
some sort of specific disease.
Yeah, I mean, like again, I applaud you, and that's the work that you're doing and getting that message out there. I mean, I think that's again, I applaud you for that.
So
Uh,
thank you very much.
Unfortunately, we're running out of time, and
Oh, really?
I
Come
know,
on, we
but
just had a conversation,
we're
Dana.
gonna
Come
have
on,
another
man.
one. You're gonna get a, your assistant's gonna get another one. She'd be like, oh, just.
No, I would love to. I would be honored to come back.
Yeah, no, but I'd like to ask my guests that, at the end of the interview, is there any quote or advice that you would give, and not just to, music entertainment business, but I mean, is there anything that, um, people that you are passionate about or live by or just means.
Yeah, I always share to parents. Uh, parenting, we don't get any type of workbook on parenting. But I can tell you, if you focus and surround your kids when they're early, like
Yeah.
5, 6, 7, with all of the things that they could, like for example, we were in Houston, so we'd go to NASA, we would go to a play, or we would go to a science fair, or we
Yeah.
would let the girls be exposed, and you just kind of, as a parent, see what they gravitate toward,
Hmm.
and it'll show. Their passion will come out.
Yeah.
They'll let you know,
Yeah.
and then you surround them with the tools. Okay, if that's what you want, then maybe dance
Yeah.
lessons. Maybe you need to get a vocal coach. And you just kind of set back.
Yeah.
And I always tell parents, if you have to tell them to go to practice, it's really a hobby. And that's okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
a hobby.
It's a hobby. Yeah.
But the last thing I always say is, please don't say when you will be this.
Yeah.
Let them decide what they want to be.
Yeah. Yeah.
You don't.
Exactly.
I teach a lot, Dana. I teach so many students who wanted to be in music, but their parents would let them, and they went out and did something else, and it didn't work. And now they're working on their passion because they're older now.
Hmm.
I've taught a lot of students that didn't have that opportunity because their parents said, "You are going to be a doctor," and
Yeah.
that's okay. And I always say this because had Beyonce or Solange said that,
Yeah.
I would have go get your mess, go to med school. But when you come out,
Yeah.
I would have bought a hospital.
Wow. Wow. That's deep. That's yeah. Yeah, that's deep. I
Yeah,
mean,
that's just how
those,
I think.
yeah, those are, I mean, that's how people should look at things. And unfortunately, there's a lot that, you know, the great talent, great people, whether it's music or being a doctor or, if they want to sell shoes on a corner, I mean, that we're just deterred, you know.
Yeah. Well, I like to, you asked that. That was a great question. I always think about Kobe Bryant, who I got to know,
Oh, wow.
amazing young man. Um, and Kobe had a saying, 666.
Hmm.
And in his documentary, I think he talks about it. And that is after the basketball season, a lot of basketball players take a break.
Mhm.
It's 80 some games. Kobe would 6 days a week after the seasons,
Mm.
6 days a week,
Mhm.
6 hours a day, he would practice
Wow. Yeah.
6 months. And that's the commitment he had to be the greatest.
Yes.
And if you see anyone who's the greatest, Serena Williams or Tiger Woods, or
Mhm.
anyone,
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
great doctor, a great lawyer, they put in that work. And it goes back to what we started with because they're passionate about
Passionate about it. Well, I mean, that's why I say I like to end on that type of question, because I think it starts from your beginnings, and what come from out, from your
it.
roots.
Gaston, Alabama.
Yeah, you see, I was trying to, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna say it, but he's gonna chop what I'm saying. So let me just say Alabama. Something like
I
that.
got you.
I know it no, but and so that's why, again, like I like to end, because you took what you started with, your roots, and to end my question, on what, you know, you would, your any quotes or things that you go by, and the passion and experiences. I think when
Yeah.
Mr. Knowles, I want to thank you for being on the Hello, My Name is Dana podcast. It was such an honor to speak with you. I know it may be next year, 5, 6 months from now, we'll get one subject. We'll just sit there, maybe get coffee on your end. I'll have it on mine.
Yeah.
Kind of,
Yeah.
shoot.
I would love that. And if I may, my passion is to motivate and educate. So I do a lot of speaking engagements. And if someone wants me to speak at their event, they can just go to MathewKnowles.com.
Yes, I was gonna ask you that if we needed
Yeah.
to, how can people find, any upcoming
Yeah.
speaking events or projects you're working on, and I'll be on it. I'm on your LinkedIn, so I don't know if you know, every now and then, oh, okay, what's your LinkedIn?
I actually give feedback personally on LinkedIn.
Yeah, you do. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've seen it. Again, thank you. I really appreciate it. Again, it's been such an honor to have you on.
Thank you, Dana. Have a wonderful day.
Well, that's it for this edition of Hello, My Name is Dana podcast. Please contact us at dlcarter7575@gmail.com and listen to more exciting interviews on Apple, Spotify, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, or visit us at hellomynameisdana.com. You can also catch the full video interview on my YouTube channel, Hello, My Name is Dana.